Hi, I'm Eleanor, and welcome to this week's edition of the Intuition Lab. This week, I'm going to be talking about what happens when someone's been on your mind and you feel guided to reach out to them. Sort of what the motivations are behind it, why it happens, what the benefits of doing it are, and what happens when you don't. So, what are we even talking about? You have a certain someone on your mind, maybe a friend, a family member, your third grade teacher. Maybe you look them up on social media or you've had their number or address and just sit on doing anything about reaching out to them, but you feel deep inside that you really, really, really need to reach out to them and you're just not doing it. So, why do you get these strong urges to contact someone that you haven't spoken to in a long time? Or maybe you have, and you just feel like you need to reach out to them again. Well, the first thing that's going on is the soul to soul connection between you and that person. We are all connected on a soul level, and one of you is subconsciously reaching out to the other person. Second reason is this person has a resource, a physical, tangible, real resource, or an energetic resource. Like you just having contact with them can give you something you need. Sometimes it's something as, work a day as maybe you need a new car and someone wants to sell their grandma's old sedan because she no longer drives. And there you get a good used car at a great price, all because you followed that urge to reach out and talk to someone. Third, maybe that person has, or you or that person has a lesson left to learn on a soul level or a karmic level and a connection to complete. Maybe there were words left unsaid. Maybe this person wasn't good to you when you were growing up, and maybe you need to have some closure with them, though I am always, as ever, going to be a bit cautious about warning about the need for closure with a person who hurt you. But maybe one or both of you has a lesson left to learn from the interaction. So, in the case of maybe a childhood bully, you get to see how miserable the bully's life is and how great your life is. Or if you were the bully, maybe you get to see that person thrive, right? Next, here's one that has really impacted me personally, and that is time to say goodbye, as that person is going to be transitioning out of the physical soon. Sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't, but I would urge you to connect if you feel that you need to talk to someone because it's happened to me on several occasions. And finally, maybe this is a link to a connection one of you needs or a link in a chain. So maybe you feel the urge to reach out to someone who can introduce you to someone who just happens to be trying to fill a position at work. Or maybe that person is looking to relocate to your area and they reach out to you and you can put them in contact with a neighbor who's selling their house or has roommates and needs a room in their apartment. It's a link to a chain of steps that you need to undertake in life. So, once we've gone over the why, let's talk about a few things to consider when heeding the urge to reach out to someone. So, let's just get into the nature of what this connection is. Consider it a cosmic alarm for any of the reasons I mentioned before. That will be quiet at first and get louder and louder if ignored. And as I touched on earlier, the cause of this is we are all interconnected on a soul level. Every being, even animate or inanimate, on this plane of existence are connected. Our souls are actually part of a collective eternal intelligence. Call it God, the universe, whatever you would call that. And our intuition is a way to receive signals and information from this great intelligence. Depending on your faith, I grew up in the Christian church. I was encouraged to heed that still small voice inside of me, and I'm sure other religious and spiritual traditions talk about this same thing. So, because we're all connected, thereby we can often sense when someone wants to reach out to us or it's the right time to connect with them, because divine timing, as ever, is at play here. So, what happens if you don't heed the urge to reach out? Well, First and foremost, you just miss out. I've done this with relatives who then passed away soon thereafter. And, I have lived with that for, in some cases, decades now. You just miss out on the chance to connect with someone, or you miss out on the chance to have a great experience with a friend. Maybe it's a once in a lifetime experience. Maybe it's just a wonderful experience of time in your life when you really need to be uplifted. Another thing that can happen if you don't heed this urge is that an opportunity will flat out pass you by. It's often an instance of a thing rather than what you are meant to have absolutely. But maybe you get a chance to go on vacation with friends and you turn it down. And maybe they see some fantastic natural phenomenon like an eclipse or whatever, and you miss out. Now, it doesn't mean that you're never meant to experience an eclipse in person, but you just missed this chance. This opportunity passed you by. I also find, like a huge to-do list with 90% of the things undone, it becomes like a persistent nagging feeling, and it really occupies your mind as a drain of mental and even physical energy when you just think, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And I just listened to someone's podcast today talking about it being open circuitry in your brain. And I don't think this just applies to basic to-do type checklists, but I think also connections you should have made, needing to reach out to someone being one of them. It's just an open circuit that overloads your mind and drains you. So, onto the benefits of reaching out to someone as soon as you have that intuitive nudge to do it. Well, first of all, the connection is often the reward. Like I alluded to earlier, you could go out on a day when you were feeling a bit down and you just have this wonderful day with friends. Maybe you just get coffee or get lunch, or you just bring your own picnic and you go out and you just are together and you feel nurtured and bolstered and not alone. Another thing you can, experience is having a once or a last in a lifetime experience, like I mentioned, seeing someone before they pass on. Sometimes you see a building before it catches fire or is torn down, or you see a movie in a movie theater that's been open for almost 100 years at this point, or, and it closes down and you were one of the last people to go in there and see a film. That is truly a magical once and last in a lifetime experience. Also, this is one of the more practical benefits, I think, not just having the experiences, but following through on your intuition can bring a sense of satisfaction and further trust in your own ability so that I felt the urge to do this thing and it paid off. And if you want to learn more about connecting with your intuition, look at some of the earliest episodes of this podcast. It talks all about validating feelings, validating, your intuitive hits, but doing this, following through and contacting someone can be another way to validate your intuition. And finally, in terms of benefits, you can get something that you need to move forward, or just plain have a wonderful experience, which is what you needed. But earlier I mentioned things that I have experienced or clients of mine have experienced, like someone's car dies and they're really not up to getting a new car, but they feel this urge to call someone they haven't talked to in a while, and they find out that, that person's grandparent no longer drives and wants to get rid of their perfectly good, not terribly exciting late model sedan that has fairly low mileage and runs like a dream. So, problem solved. Or you can just get opportunities in your life that you are being called to, and the details of it are being arranged by the universe, by God, so that all you have to do is show up where you feel the intuitive nudge to. So, I would love it if you would let me know about your experiences where you felt an urge to reach out to someone and what happened, or what happened if you didn't reach out to someone when you felt the nudge to. But if you would like some help in clarifying your intuition, picking your next best step, figuring out if you really want to contact that person, I invite you to reach out for a one-on-one text-based reading with me, and I will have the details for that in the show notes. And also, join my mailing list. I have so many things planned for this fall, and I would love you to be a part of it. And also, you will get notification when there is a new podcast up and other ways we can interact. So, also, links to sign up for that will be right here in my show notes. So, I am sending you so much love, and just remember if you have a strong urge to reach out to someone, and it is, safe and a good idea to do so, like you feel it's an intuitive urge, not an ego driven urge, just do it, okay? Just do it. Talk to you soon. Bye now.